What is going on, everyone? My name is Northy, and today I am super excited for this one because if you can't see, there's a little fancy thing this side of me that's currently telling me that things are going pretty well for this week. I opened up the Teamcoach website to get that started, and the big thing popped up on my screen saying you want a prize card, and so I knew I had to start recording as soon as possible and get this prize card collected because I haven't gotten one so far this year, which means that this is a momentous occasion. It is the first one that we've gotten all year, and it took us till round 13 to do it, but we'll find out where we got it in just a second. However, I'm going to start off this episode in star powers. Let's have a look at star powers, and this is already a pretty good start, man. Look at this side that we've got. We have Rory Laird from that massive win over West Coast. He's only 7 points off the top player being Jack Crisp. However, 124 is nothing to scoff at and definitely a great start. Then we go to Mighty Mids. At Mighty Mids, we did fall off by 22 points. That was the highest one. But Nick Dacos had himself an 100-point game. Helpful that he kicked a goal in the last 30 seconds to kind of up the points a little bit because it was looking a little scary. But Dacos did all right enough to get himself over 100. This is where it pays off the most. The Taylor Walker pick that I had here, beautiful. Obviously, his incredible 250th game, getting himself 166 points. 10 goals, obviously, the first time done this season. 21 disposals, 11 marks, a couple tackles, I think, in there as well. 166, nothing to scoff at, man. That's a great effort from him. Thankfully, we had him in at the right time. And then our young guns, this is probably where it lets us down the most. I may have to switch out Tom Green, because Zach Butters is starting to really show his colours now. Even Nick Martin is starting to be a really consistent player. Good on him for sure. And then we go to Epic, and honestly not too bad. Toby Green having his way against North Melbourne, however, being the best player out of all of them this week that I can see at least. I said I may have to switch in Libba, and it's looking more and more like the case because Libba looked pretty good, even in a loss, looked pretty good against Port Adelaide. So we're gonna have a look at changing a few of these positions, especially with the bye round starting to get into real effect. However, we checked the ladder, we were 40th. We weren't even in the top, I think it's 10 for this. We were 559. With Tex Walker, you would think we'd go a bit higher, but no, 559. You can see here, we ended up having ourselves a pretty rough kind of week out almost, because with the players that we did pick, it was realistically if we had put Butters in and if we had made the choice of Liver instead of Sam Doherty, those two changes could have put us over the top, which would have been really nice. But I think this is the biggest change that we had to make in order to see any big return. But 40th is not something to scoff at. It's a pretty good week. Picking out Tex in the right time is very helpful. But other than that, it's a bit disappointing we couldn't capitalize on it enough. But we do go over to Ultra Star Powers, and this has been the really rough one. This has been the one that's probably taken the hardest hit. Tex Walker, 166, really good from him. Obviously, having him in this week was really helpful. Dacos as well, 101. We will take that from both of them. Tim Kelly, he continues to, he is pretty impressive considering that he is playing for West Coast in a really tough situation. Jaden Short would have been the better pick this week, but honestly, I'm not too mad. Tim Kelly, although Richmond came off on a win and West Coast came off a loss, the fact that they're both so close shows just how important Kelly was for West Coast to at least give him a couple goals here and there. I think he kicked one, was involved in a bit, had himself 27 disposals, which isn't too bad in that type of performance. So it isn't the worst by far, but I really want Clayton Oliver back, man. The fact that I picked him up and then he's just immediately not played since, really tough. Having Tom Green in as well, only 73 from him, super disappointing. And then Luke Bruce, honestly, wasn't looking too bad, and then unfortunately got injured. He ended up being the Medi sub and coming out halfway through the game, which was really disappointing because I knew that pretty much completely screwed me over for Ultra Star Powers this week. Obviously, it doesn't really matter in the main scheme of things. You hope he gets better. But in terms of the game mode, a bit rough. 131 for the week, only 703 points. Yeah, really, really tough week in terms of hoping that we could find the right players to get us over the top with such limited effort, or such limited choices, I should say. Really, really tough to find the right players. We're going with a player who's on the worst team in the league right now, Tom Green, who's kind of off his high that he had earlier in the season, and a man who unfortunately got injured halfway through. These silvers honestly did, like, I'm pretty sure Tex did better than Green and Bruce, even with their double points. So, like, man, the luck just didn't swing our way this week, unfortunately. But there will be changes that need to be made, obviously, with the bye coming into effect with only I think only the 6 games, because there's 6 teams out, so that means it's 12 in total, and there will be obviously 2 each matchup, so 6 games. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting week for sure. Hopefully we can see some good games this week as well, and see some better results with star powers. But no, the prize card didn't come from there. But we go over to top 4. This is who we had. Again, same story, just a little better than last week. 2 players absolutely smashed it. Rory Laird, 124. Not the best, but a really good pick nonetheless. And James Sicily, the best backline pick. Really nice to have those 2 in. Gets us to about 254 off the top of my head. And then it gets let down here, man. It's really disappointing. 83 from Errol Goulden. Really hope that he'll start to pick up his form again, because you can see 114 is the season average for him. 83 is really tough. And then Tim English having one of his rare, like, poor games against Scotty Lysette, who just outplayed him. Just from every aspect. Obviously not as many disposals, but I feel like Scott Lysette's impact was a lot more noticeable than Tim English's. But obviously the best ones this week being the Nank, Rowan Marshall, Darcy Cameron even had a good game. Riley O'Brien in there. Brodie Grundy had himself a good game against his old side. And then, yeah, just the one average player, the one who just couldn't manage to find his form, was Tim English. And so maybe that comes down to who they're matched up against. But then again, the Nank, he played really well, and he was up against Luke Jackson. He was by himself. He didn't have to deal with Sean Darcy as well, but very strange indeed. We'll have to find out where the matchups work best, because I'm noticing now this one was against Freo. This Saints one was against, I believe it was Sydney, wasn't it? Yeah, so it wasn't Tom Hickey, because I think I saw Tom. No, it was Tom Hickey. Maybe that's a matchup we can exploit. I'm not too sure, but Rowan Marshall, 50 hitouts, absolutely phenomenal. Only the 2 marks, which is actually below average, but the 16 disposals in there helps him get over the top. Maybe a couple marks and a goal here and there would get him over the top, but 50 hitouts is absolutely phenomenal for his standards. Looks like we have a few choices between the Nank, Rowan Marshall, and Tim English that we can kind of work around, because if we go to season averages, yeah, they're the ones that are hovering in the 120 averages. Witts and Darcy are 2 other choices that we could make, depending on who they're up against. But other than that, I'm not too keen on picking anyone outside these 3. So that's what we're looking at for the ruckman. Sorry. Then we check the ladder. 124. 124 is the rank for us with only 413 points. At the very least, we got over the 400 mark. So on average, we had over 100 per player, which is usually a good sign that you're on the right track. But obviously, you want to be aiming for the high 400s this week. So I'm getting a 500 point week. So I'd imagine Sicily could have been Dunkley or Taranto, someone like that. Then it would have been the Nank. So I'm assuming Taranto here. I'm assuming this is a Richmond fan. Because, yeah, 507. Actually, no, it literally says Saints fan. So you could have picked Rowan Marshall, actually. Yeah, it would have been Rowan. Then we look over here. Any Saints players? Maybe Brad Crouch was picked. I'm not sure. I can only assume this is the case anyways. And then I'm assuming someone in this top 10 at least has picked Tex Walker out smart. I'd say Saints fan was the one who did so. So that's what we're looking at top 4, which means there's only one other place it could be. Top 18. I believe this is what we had. I did end up going and making some changes already for the bye round, but I quickly reverted them so that we could look at this one from last week's perspective. This is what we had, and overall, not bad. Obviously, the ruck we've been over would have been a better choice. Look at the midfield here. 4 out of the 5 players that we picked were on the first page. A few that I want to pick out now. We look over on this average sheet. Taranto's going to stay in as long as we need to, obviously with the way he's been playing. Dunkley, I want to bring back in. I'm hoping he keeps up his form right now. Viney's even a bit underrated right now. Viney has had a few really strong performances that I kind of want to point out because it's been really entertaining to watch. Only a 90 for the season, so a 135 from him is huge. Zach Butters looking like he's going to run away with the Brownlow at the rate he's going at. Nick Dacos looked strong at the start of the season, but Butters' impact is just undeniable now with the way that they've been playing so far. They are now tied in points with Collingwood at the top of the table, and so all it takes is one slip from either side and the other one will take the cake now, which is exciting to watch. It's exciting to see. Port Adelaide, after last year going 0-6, I think it was to start, is crazy to see them now at 10 in a row. Goes to show you how this game works sometimes. Collingwood, obviously been really dominant this year, but Melbourne managed to pick them out this time. The only midfielder that didn't make it into the top of the page was Zach Merritt, which is a bit surprising to see him only with 18 disposals. But honestly, with the way he's been playing, I can't doubt my pick too much. Zach Merritt definitely deserved a spot. I want to go to forwards now because obviously this was massive this week. Taylor Walker, I picked 2 Adelaide forwards and neither of them were Tex Walker. Don't know why I couldn't make that choice, but again, it's the curse of tall forwards. You either pick them at the right time or you don't. Luke Jackson may need to be a switch up I make soon because he is running in the ruck by himself right now, and so having him as a forward option could be a smart pickup. We may have to check and see whether that's a good pickup next week or not if Fremantle are playing. But Shea Bolton, good pick. He was on the midfield, got himself 33 disposals, getting more on the ball, even picked up a goal as well. It's good to see Shea getting a bit more involved now, off of 72.4 fantasy points last week, or last season, I should say. Shea Bolton is now starting to get that midfield time that he looks like he deserves. Nick Martin really showing his colours now. No goals, but still involved a bunch, and it looks like it's because he's getting a bit more involved on ball as well. Jack Zeeble, regular safe pick, only 4 marks, but 30 disposals, and I'm assuming a lot of 1%ers and tackles because that's the only way I could see him going over 108, or going to 108 this week. But Isaac Rankin, honestly not a bad pick. If I could redo it, I'd switch out Rochelle for Walker, but that's obviously with hindsight. Errol Goulden with 83, like I mentioned before, probably a really bad top 4 pick for us. Then we go down here, like I mentioned, Rochelle. I thought he'd do a bit more, but honestly, he wasn't as involved as I thought he'd be in a game that they played absolutely out of their skin for. So it's unfortunate, but at the same time, I'm not complaining too much. We go to the back line and a lot of really good picks this week. So Sicily remains the easiest pick in the comp right now. Vlosten coming back. I didn't notice that he'd come back, and look at that, 12 marks. He was really strong in the back line for them in a really impressive win against Fremantle. So that's the risk you also play with this game mode sometimes, is like miss out on the opportunities to pick players who just have the opportunity to be strong. If they come up against tough opponents and they succeed and play really well, they end up having games like Vlosten has. Caleb Daniel, although they did come away with a loss, was involved all over the ground. You can see here just a really good pick again after a round-winning performance last week. Dawson, even though he was in the back, he's listed as a backman, he was on ball and he was all over it against West Coast as they usually have been. Dacos with 101, Doherty 95, and Whitfield the week thinking about chucking him in, and I do eventually do so. He drops below his average. I don't know what to do with this dude. He keeps doing this to me. Although, to be fair, 90 points as the worst backman is honestly not that bad. It could have been a lot worse. Sinclair would have been a nice little person to pick in. Vlosten I may think about chucking in now. I feel like I could. Aaron Hall's starting to show some points potential as well, just as it's North's back line, so they're just going to get involved naturally. Bailey Scott, I'm just happy to see him playing a bit better every now and then, and yeah, I think Will Day is the only one that I've been looking out for. I've been sleeping on Braden Maynard. He was all over it today. Maybe it's because they were up against Melbourne, but he just looked all over it today. He was seriously impressive, but unfortunately, we did not have him in. But all that being said, we've checked the ladder. 17th. Really nice. So we look down here. There's a few names that I see already. There's my name. I'm listed as 14, so I'm not sure why that's the case. No, honestly not sure, because it says our rank is 17. Whatever, it's all good. I'm very, very happy. I know J Clan, I remember him. I think tier 33 I've seen a couple times before. I'm trying to notice anyone else who I may know from the comment section, but if not, that's all good. I'm going to check out the team coach tips, and then we'll pick our player that we want. You can see here we've only got 6 for the next round, but we check the most recent one, round 12, and a 5 out of 7 week. A bit interesting, but I'm not too stressed. I've just realized that round 12 is not the correct round. Round 13 was our correct round, or the round for most recently. So you know what? We won't go through tips. We'll go through them maybe some other time. We go over here, and now we can collect our prize card. Now, the one player we can't pick is Collingwood because they're claimed out on both sides. You cannot pick the top team version of Collingwood or the star power. So if you're a Collingwood fan and you haven't got one yet, I'm sorry you've missed out. Which means getting in early and winning early is the key to success for these game modes, and you just pick up the ones that are the most popular, and just like that, you've got profit. But I am going to go with LDU, I think. Like, there's some players here that I'd probably rather pick up in case they go away, but it's LDU, man. I want to pick LDU. Well, I'm trying to claim LDU. I don't know why it won't let me, but for some reason, Luke Davies Uniac will not be claimed. I'm not sure. I'll claim it eventually, I will, but for some reason, it just won't let me claim him, like, properly just yet. But I promise you, LDU will be on the way soon. I'll get in contact with someone and hopefully they can fix it up for me. But nonetheless, thank you all so much for watching this video. Best of luck to everyone for round 14. Hope you guys did well enough in round 13. Be sure to check out the video on the screen right now if you want to see how we were thinking going into the most recent round. But nonetheless, thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.